Steinberg Cubase 12 Pro. We start lesson 23. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so as not to miss new videos. And we start lesson 23. Removing crossfades. You can remove crossfades. Procedure. Perform one of the following actions. Select the Object Selection tool, and select one of the crossfade events. Select the Range Selection tool, and select the crossfades you want to remove. Select Audio Fades, remove fades. Result. The selected crossfades are removed. Note. You can also remove a crossfade by clicking and dragging it outside the event, changing the crossfade length and moving the splice points. Auto fades and crossfades. Auto fades and crossfades. Cubase features an auto fade function that can be set either globally or separately for each audio track. Auto fades allow you to create smoother transitions between events by applying fade-ins and fade-outs with a length between 1 and 500 milliseconds. Important. As event-based fades are calculated in real time during playback, applying auto fades to a higher number of audio events results in a higher demand on the processor. Note. Auto fades are not indicated by fade lines. Removing crossfades. Auto fades dialog. Auto fades dialog. The auto fades dialog allows you to set up auto fades and crossfades, either for the entire project or individually, for each audio track. To open the global auto fades dialog, select Project Auto Fade Settings. To open the auto fades dialog for a track, right-click in the track list and select Auto Fade Settings. Auto Fade In. Activates Auto Fade Ins. Auto Fade Out. Activates Auto Fade Outs. Auto Crossfades. Activates Auto Crossfades. Use Project Settings. This is only available if you open the Auto Fades dialog for individual tracks. Deactivate this to set up and apply the settings to individual tracks only. To apply the global settings again, activate Use Project Settings. Length. Specifies the length of the auto fades or crossfades. As default. Saves the current settings as default. Fades section. Provides the settings for auto fades. The curve type buttons allow you to determine whether the corresponding fade curve uses spline interpolation, damped spline interpolation or linear interpolation. The curve shape buttons give you quick access to common curve shapes. Crossfade section. Provides the settings for auto crossfades. Equal gain allows you to adjust the fade curve so that the sum fade in and fade out amplitudes are the same, all along the crossfade region. Equal power allows you to adjust the fade curve so that the energy, power, of the crossfade is constant, all along the crossfade region. Auto fades and crossfades. Making global auto fade settings. Making global auto fade settings. You can set up auto fades and crossfades for the whole project. Procedure. Select Project Auto Fade Settings. This opens the Auto Fades dialog for the project. Set up the fades as desired. Click OK. Related links. Fade dialog for event-based fades. Crossfade editor. Auto fades dialog. Making auto fade settings for individual tracks. Making auto fade settings for individual tracks. As auto fades use computing power, we recommend turning global auto fades off and activating them for individual tracks only. Procedure. Perform one of the following actions. Right-click the track in the track list. From the context menu, select Auto Fade Settings. Select the track. In the inspector, click Auto Fade Settings. The Auto Fades dialog for the track opens. Deactivate Use Project Settings. Any settings you make are applied to the track only. Set up the auto fades. Click OK. Making global auto fade settings. Event envelopes. Event envelopes. Event envelopes are volume curves for audio events. They allow you to create volume changes within the event, not only at the start or end. On the event envelopes, you can create volume changes by adding curve points with the Draw tool. The envelope curve is a part of the audio event. If you move or copy the event envelope follows. Making auto fade settings for individual tracks. Creating event-based volume changes. Creating event-based volume changes. You can create volume changes for the audio event. Procedure. Zoom in on the event so that you can clearly see its waveform. Select the Draw tool, and click at the position in the event where you want to change the volume. Click with the Draw tool. A curve point is added to the envelope curve. Drag the curve point to adjust the volume curve. Result. The volume change is created. The waveform image of the event changes according to the volume change. Event envelopes. Removing event envelopes. Removing event envelopes. You can remove the entire event envelope or single curve points. Procedure. Perform one of the following actions. To remove a curve point from the envelope, click on it and drag it outside the event. To remove an event envelope curve from a selected event, select Audio Remove Volume Curve. Creating event-based volume changes. Creating clip-based volume changes. Creating clip-based volume changes. You can create volume changes for the audio clip. The audio event changes accordingly. Procedure. In the project window, select the event. Select Audio, Processes envelope. In the Direct Offline Processing dialog, make your changes, and click Apply. Result. The volume change is created. The waveform image of the event changes according to the volume change. Related links. Envelope. Removing event envelopes. Arranger track. Arranger track. The arranger functions in Cubase allow you to work in a non-linear fashion. Using an arranger track allows you to specify how and when specific sections are played back, even for live performances. This way, you do not need to move, copy, and paste events in the project window. Note: there can only be one arranger track in a project. To use the arranger functions, add an arranger track and define arranger events. Arranger events can be of any length. They can overlap and are not bound to the start or end of existing events and parts. You can order them in a list and add repeats as desired. To edit arranger events, use the standard techniques. Copies from arranger events are independent from the original event. You can create several arranger chains that allow you to save different versions of a song within the project. You can flatten arranger chains to convert them into a linear project. Related links. Adding arranger events on the arranger track. Setting up an arranger chain and adding events. Flattening the arranger chain. Creating clip-based volume changes. Adding arranger events on the arranger track. Adding arranger events on the arranger track. On the arranger track, you can add arranger events that define specific sections of the project. Prerequisite. Snap is activated, and snap type is set to events. Procedure. Select Project Add Track Arranger. The arranger track is added. Select the Draw tool, and draw an arranger event on the arranger track. An arranger event is added. Draw as many events as you need. Result. The arranger events are added to your project. After completing this task, use the functions of the arranger editor to arrange the events. Related links. Arranger track. Setting up an arranger chain and adding events. Snap function. Snap types menu. Arranger track. Renaming arranger events. Renaming arranger events. When you add arranger events, they are automatically named in alphabetical order. You can change the names so that they reflect the structure of your project, such as intro, chorus, bridge, for example. Procedure. Select the arranger event that you want to rename. Perform one of the following actions. Select the event name on the info line. Hold down Alt/Opt, and double-click the name in the arranger chain. Enter a new name. Adding arranger events on the arranger track. Arranger editor. Arranger editor. The arranger editor allows you to set up arranger chains. To open the arranger editor, select an arranger track, and click Open Arranger Editor in the track list. Arranger toolbar. Shows the transport buttons, the arranger transport buttons, and the arranger tools. Current arranger chain. Shows the order in which the events are played back, from top to bottom, and how many times they are repeated. Note: initially, the arranger chain is empty. To use it, add events from the arranger events list. Arranger events. Lists the available arranger events in the same order as they appear on the timeline. Renaming arranger events. Arranger editor toolbar. Arranger editor toolbar. The arranger editor contains tools and shortcuts for setting the flatten options. To open the arranger editor, select an arranger track, and click Open Arranger Editor in the track list. Activate arranger mode. Activates playback in arranger mode. Previous chain step. Navigates to the previous entry in the current arranger chain list. Next chain step. Navigates to the next entry in the current arranger chain list. First repeat of current chain step. Navigates to the first repeat of the current entry in the current arranger chain list. Last repeat of current chain step. Navigates to the last repeat of the current entry in the current arranger chain list. Select active chain. Allows you to select and activate an arranger chain. Rename current chain. Allows you to rename the current arranger chain. Create new chain. Creates a new, empty arranger chain. Duplicate current chain. Creates a duplicate of the current arranger chain, containing the same events. Remove current chain. Removes the selected arranger chain. This is only available if you have created more than one arranger chain. Flatten chain. Converts the current arranger chain into a linear project. Flatten, with options and preferences. Allows you to set up the flatten options. Arranger editor. Arranger chain repeat modes. Arranger chain repeat modes. The arranger editor features a function that allows you to repeat and loop your arranger events. This way, you can create a sketch of a song structure. To open the arranger editor, select an arranger track, and click Open Arranger Editor in the track list. To select one of the repeat modes, click the mode column in the current arranger chain list. Normal. Plays back the arranger chain exactly the way you set it up. Repeat forever. Repeats the current arranger event in a loop until you click another event in the arranger editor or until you click play once again. Pause after repeats. Pauses playback after all repeats of the current arranger event have been played back. Note: During playback, the counter column indicates which repetition of the event is playing. Arranger Editor Toolbar. Flatten Options and Preferences. Flatten Options and Preferences. The flatten options allow you to define what happens when you flatten the arranger track. To show the flatten options, open the arranger editor and click Flatten with Options and Preferences. In the source section, you can specify which arranger chains are flattened. Current chain. Flattens the current chain only. Check chains. Opens a list of the available arranger chains where you can activate the arranger tracks that you want to flatten. All chains. Flattens all arranger chains of the current project. The destination section allows you to choose where the result of the flattening is saved. Current project. This is only available if source is set to current chain. Activate this option to save the flattened chain in the current project. New project. Allows you to flatten one or more chains in a new project with the following naming options. Append chain name. Appends the chain names to the project name. Use chain name. Names the new projects after the current arranger chains. Add number. Names the new projects after the old ones and adds a number. The options section contains further settings. Keep arranger track. Keeps the arranger track after flattening. Activate rename arranger events to append numbers to the events. Make real event copies. Allows you to create real copies of the arranger track instead of shared copies. Don't split events. Excludes MIDI notes that start before or are longer than the arranger event. Only MIDI notes that begin and end inside the arranger event are taken into account. Open new projects. Creates a new project for every flattened arranger chain. If you activate Cascade New Projects, the open projects are cascaded. Related links. Flattening the arranger chain. Arranger chain repeat modes. Setting up an arranger chain and adding events. Setting up an arranger chain and adding events. In the arranger editor, you can set up arranger chains and add events to them. Procedure. Click E to open the arranger editor. Activate arranger mode. Perform one of the following actions to add arranger events to the arranger chain. Double-click an event in the arranger events list. Select one or more events in the arranger events list, right-click, and select Append selected in arranger chain. Drag an arranger event from the arranger events list, and drop it in the current arranger chain list. Drag an arranger event from the project window, and drop it in the current arranger chain list. Click Play. Result. The arranger events are played back in the order that you specified in the arranger chain. Related links. Arranger chain repeat modes. Flatten options and preferences. Adding a new arranger chain. Adding a new arranger chain. You can create several arranger chains in order to set up alternative versions for playback. Prerequisite. Arranger mode is activated. Procedure. Open the arranger editor. Click Create New Chain. Result. A new, empty arranger chain is activated. This is reflected by a new name in the Select Active Chain pop-up menu and a new, empty current arranger chain list. Setting up an arranger chain and adding events. Editing arranger events in the arranger chain. Editing arranger events in the arranger chain. In the current arranger chain list, you can edit your arranger events. You can perform the following actions. To select multiple events, Ctrl/CMD click or Shift click them. To move events in the list, drag them up or down. To copy events, select them, hold Alt/Opt and drag. To repeat events, click in the Repeats column and enter the number of repeats. To specify how the event is repeated, click in the Mode column and select a repeat mode from the pop-up menu. To move the playback position to the start of an event, click the arrow to the left of the event. To remove an event from the list, right-click, and, from the context menu, select Remove Touched. To remove several events, select them, right-click, and, from the context menu, select Remove Selected. Related links. Arranger chain repeat modes. Adding a new arranger chain. Flattening the arranger chain. Flattening the arranger chain. When you have set up an arranger chain that you like, and you are sure that you do not want to edit it anymore, you can convert it into a linear project. Prerequisite. You have saved a copy of the project before flattening the arranger chain. Note. Flattening the arranger chain may remove events and parts from the project. Only use flatten when you are sure that you do not want to edit the arranger track/chain anymore. If in doubt, save a copy of the project before flattening the arranger chain. Procedure. Select the arranger chain that you want to convert into a linear project. Optional, click Flatten, with Options and Preferences. Optional, activate the desired flattening options. Note. If you realize that you want to do further adjustments, click Go Back. The activated flatten options are kept. Click Flatten. Result. The events and parts in the project are reordered, repeated, resized, moved and/or deleted, so that they correspond exactly to the arranger chain. Editing arranger events in the arranger chain. Jump mode. Jump mode. If you have set up an arranger track and play it back, you have live access to the playback order. This way, you can loop your arranger events with more flexibility regarding the length of the playback. Prerequisite. An arranger chain is set up, and the arranger mode is activated. Procedure. Play back your project. In the lower part of the inspector, open the Jump Mode pop-up menu, and select an option from the pop-up menu. This determines how long the active arranger event is played before jumping to the next one. In the arranger events list of the inspector, click the arrow to the left of the arranger event that you want to trigger. Result. The arranger event is looped according to your settings, until you click another arranger event. Note. You can assign key commands to trigger arranger events in the arranger category of the key commands dialog. After completing this task. To stop jump mode, click stop. To continue playback from a specific arranger event, click the arranger event in the current arranger chain list. Related links. Jump mode options. Flattening the arranger chain. Jump mode options. Jump mode options. The jump mode pop-up menu allows you to define how long the active arranger event is played before jumping to the next one. To show the inspector for the arranger track, select the arranger track in the track list. The following options are available. None. Jumps to the next section immediately. 4 bars, 2 bars. Jumps to the next arranger event after 2 or 4 bars. If the current arranger event is shorter than 2 or 4 bars, playback jumps to the next arranger event at the end of the event. 1 bar. Jumps to the next section at the next bar line. 1 beat. Jumps to the next section at the next beat. End. Plays the current section to the end, then jumps to the next section. Jump mode. Arranging music to video. Arranging music to video. When you compose music for video, you can use arranger events to fill a specific video section with music. Prerequisite. You have connected and set up an external sync master device to your computer. You have created a new, empty project and added a MIDI track. Note. The following values and settings are just meant as an example. Procedure. Create a MIDI part that starts at position 00:00:00:00 and ends at position 00:01:00:00. Create a MIDI part that starts at position 00:01:00:00 and ends at position 00:02:00:00. Create a MIDI part that starts at position 00:02:00:00 and ends at position 00:03:00:00. On the transport panel, activate sync. Select project Add Track Arranger. The arranger track is added. On the arranger track, add arranger events at the positions of the MIDI parts. Set up the arranger chain AABBCC. Activate arranger mode and start playback. On your external sync master device, start the external time code at position 00:00:10:00. In your project, the position 00:00:10:00 is located, and arranger part A is played back. Start your external sync master device at a position that does not match the project start time, for example, 00:01:10:00. In your project, the position 00:01:10:00 is located, and arranger part A is played back. Result. If you position the external sync master device to a position that does not match the project start time, Cubase automatically jumps to the right position in the arranger track. Note. The reference for the external time code can be MIDI or any other time code that can be interpreted by Cubase. Related links. Arranger track. Jump mode options. Transpose functions. Transpose functions. The transpose functions for audio and MIDI in Cubase allow you to change the pitches of audio and MIDI for playback without changing the actual MIDI notes or the audio. You can transpose the following. An entire project by changing the project root key on the project window toolbar. Specific sections of your project by creating a transpose track and adding transpose events. Individual parts or events by changing their transpose value on the project window info line. Important. As a general rule, always set the root key first when you work with content that has a defined root key. Note. To transpose MIDI notes on a selected track, you can also use MIDI modifiers. If you want to change the actual notes, use the MIDI transpose functions in the transpose setup dialog and in the MIDI effects, see the separate document plugin reference. Related links. Transposing with the project root key. Transposing sections of a project with transpose events. Transposing individual parts or events using the info line. MIDI modifiers. Transpose and velocity on the info line. Transpose setup dialog. Arranging music to video. Project root key. Project root key. The project root key allows you to transpose your project. Audio or MIDI events in your project use it as a reference. To change the project root key, use the project root key pop-up menu on the project window toolbar. If you change the project root key, loops that already contain root key information will follow automatically. Related links. Transposing with the project root key. Transpose functions. Transposing with the project root key.